Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Welcome to another show of Freedom Frequency. This is, I think, the third show of Freedom Frequency that I'm doing on all my channels. So I'm streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Rumble. So you got lots of channels to choose from. You can watch from your favorite channel. And let me first say hi to some people in the comments. So I'm seeing Tim is here. Hi Tim. I'm seeing Tarot by Lupo is here too from Yorkshire, UK. I love to know where you guys are from. So if you're watching, let me know. In the comments. It's live, so I can respond to the comments. I love to interact with you guys, and I love to know where you're from. So you're from the UK. That's welcome, Tarot by Lupo. And I see Meg's also in the house. Meg is also present. So I'm gonna do a little bit of different show today. It's not gonna be like one main theme, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about different news subjects that happened in the last week. I'm gonna touch on different themes, but there's also gonna be a little bit of a thread throughout it, and that thread is mostly like transhumanism, because you guys know I like to talk about transhumanism. Well, I wish I had not had to talk about transhumanism, but we have to talk about transhumanism because it is one of the big dangers um, that humanity is facing, and it's not that apparent yet. But I think it's going to become much more apparent. And I'm seeing somebody from Missouri. Wow, from the United States. So I guess it's early for you because you're like in Central Time or something. So it's pretty early. Well, very nice. Love that people are watching in the morning too to this show. Here in Belgium, it's 5 p.m. in the evening, so it's getting darker. It's getting darker and darker earlier. You can feel we're going slightly slowly into the winter months. And I don't know if you guys see it, but I'm wearing a new T-shirt, so I'm gonna show it like this. It's the T-shirts from the Scorpling shop. So it's Halloween, the spooky Halloween special T-shirts from the Scorpling shop. And I've got my Sagittarius, so it says Sagittarius here. I'm gonna show it to you guys here. So here, this is the one I'm wearing. So these are created by Megan Sunny on their Scorpling shop, and you can get them at the scorplingshop.com. They're pretty cool. So each sign has got its own thingy. Let's talk a little bit about transhumanism. So last week, actually, after last week's show, I went for a whole day to the Netherlands because I was invited at Black Box TV. Now, Black Box TV is one of the biggest alternative news channels in Holland. So they've the alternative news in Holland is pretty big. It's really a new, I wouldn't say a force, but a new, like, you have the mainstream media, of course, which is everywhere, but the alternative media is pretty strong in Holland. It's much more so than in Belgium, because Belgium it's we got Belgium is like basically two countries in half, because we got the French part and we got Dutch, the Flemish part. But of course, the Netherlands is totally Dutch, so they got 50 million people there. So their alternative news is a lot bigger than in Belgium. So I was invited there, and I was invited to speak on transhumanism, and I want to touch on one subject one question that they asked me there, and one of the Dutch. So I'm going to show you guys here. So this is Black Box. So they got really nice studio. They got where they do their YouTube shows from. So this is their studio. So, and the presenter here, Ancilla, asked me a question. And she asked, is it, and I want to touch a little bit more upon that in this show, expand a little bit more on it. She asked me, is it really opportune or still necessary to vote? Because a lot of awake people don't want to vote anymore, because they have totally lost faith in the system. Now, actually, and I was also invited to make the story complete. I was also invited in the beginning of the year to speak in Belgium at the New Year's reception of a new political party called SVD, which is Samen voor Democratie, which is translated as Together for Democracy. And I went there, and quite a number of people that were following me were saying, "Allianz, what are you doing there? Politics, it's over." But and I don't vote anymore. It's stupid. And people are really critical. Like some in the conspiracy community or the awake circles, people are like, if you vote, you're like it's useless. It's stupid. and they're saying, I don't vote, I take my power back. But I really don't agree with that. And I also don't agree with the judgment on people who do vote. They're like, oh, you're naive, you think you can change the system. But as long as we have a vote, I think we have to use it, because we are part, whether you like it or not, we are part of a collective. We are energetically connected to the place where we live. We are energetically connected to the group we are part of. We are energetically connected to the country where we live. You're a Canadian, you're a European, you're an American, you're a Canadian. We are connected, no matter how you twist or turn. You can try to be outside of it, and that can work up to a certain point, but we are all connected. So and we can have an influence on that collective. So as long as we do have a vote, I am a proponent of voting. Of course, you got to vote on the right people. Like last elections, I didn't vote because there was no party that totally fit my opinions and my convictions, right? So I didn't vote. Now with that new political party where I was invited, I would have voted on them, but they were not big enough yet, so they were not part of the the electorate. They were not on the list. They were not on the list, so I couldn't give them my vote. But next time I will give them my vote, because they're against the New World Order. They're against the medical tyranny that happened during in 2020. They are totally pro freedom, and there was no other party up until that point that had that. So that's why I didn't vote. But I did not vote because because I didn't want to vote. No, I want to vote, but it needs to be for the right party that, at least in a large part, confluences with what I believe and what I stand for freedom. So yes, I do think it's important to vote, and a lot of people don't agree with this, especially in the awake circles. But even if it's for a small party, your vote matters. And even if that small party only gets one seat, at least they can have a voice. It doesn't mean that they will get into power, but if they only get one seat, they have a voice in parliament. In my opinion, it's like a form of bypassing. If you don't vote, then it's like spiritual bypassing. I'm not going to care about it. But if you're not involved, if you don't care about it, you can just as well do nothing, right? Because then why are we speaking out, right? If you don't think anything can change, then why are we speaking out even against the system if you don't vote? So that's really important. So yeah, so let me look at some more of the comments for some people. I see somebody from Norfolk here. Where is that? Lisa Bayliss. I have no idea where Norfolk is. Is that UK? Somebody from Southern England. That's cool. I love Southern England. I think it's amazing. I love going there. Somebody from Hungary. That's really nice. Somebody from Hungary. I went to Hungary. I went to Budapest once. That's Hungary, right? I got to make sure I don't make any mistakes. But I think Budapest is Hungary, right? Yeah. Let me know if I'm wrong. Kio, or whatever your name is. So yeah. So I think voting is really, it's important. As long as we have our vote, we have to use it. It's a statement that you want. Voting, if anything at all, it's a statement that you want to change the reality you're in. We are not here to just be bystanders. We are here to be active, to get involved, to transform this reality. Not to stand aside and watch it turn into a dystopian nightmare. So that is actually my opinion on it. And Regina Rowe asks, is voting mandatory in Belgium? Yes, actually, it is. There is mandatory voting. So every Belgian is actually gets a letter in the mail that they have to come and vote. If you don't vote, they're not gonna really do anything. But yeah, it's not like it's mandatory. In other countries, I think in the Netherlands, it's not mandatory. There you can really vote. But I would, I am of the conviction, I don't have really an opinion if you have to vote or if it's optional. But I think we should vote anyway if there is a party that really suits you. But there's so much infighting also going on. There was in the awake circles in Belgium, there were so many parties, and there's I have to say it is. There's jealousy. There's infighting, people who want to be the boss. You know how this goes in politics. So you have to really have people who are really dedicated, and who can put their egos aside, which is not easy, because a lot of people go in politics for their ego. I've seen it also in the awake circles. But I think with SVD, so Together for Democracy, and I'm going to show their site here. So this is Belgian site. These are the guys. I really like them. I support them. And this is Dr. Steve de Vos. He's the chairman of the party. So he talks about freedom also. He was also a doctor. He's a doctor, a specialist, dermatologist that spoke out against all the stupid mandates that we had in 2020. Spoke out against the medical attorneys. So I really support these guys. So that's that. Lots of questions here about Belgium in the comments. So let me see. So I see Colette is from rural Colorado. I love Colorado, and I think we're gonna go there because Colorado I haven't explored that much in the United States, and I want to do some more exploring. I've been in Colorado just slightly, but I want to do more, absolutely. Let me see here. Colette asks, does Belgium have jury duty? Is it mandatory? Yes, we do. I mean, for example, if you're called to for a jury, I think that's what you mean. If you're called like for jury duty, like for lawsuits, like somebody's getting convicted. Yes, we have that, and that is absolutely mandatory. Yeah. So if there's like I don't know how to translate, like a murder case, and there's a jury called, I think that's what you mean, right? So yes, that is mandatory. Key says 90% of people I voted for always lost, but I kept voting anyway. Yes, it's not because they lose you have to stop voting. Just the action of your vote is important. I mean, even if that party only gets 1% of the votes, at least you did your vote. You're saying to the universe, I am voting, I am powerful, right? I have an effect, even if it doesn't seem you have an effect. Because if everybody would think, oh, we're not going to vote, then the old power structure is always going to be in control, right? Because there's nobody to challenge them. If everybody would think that way, oh, we're not going to vote, they're never going to have any challenge. It starts with people wanting to make change and wanting to vote. So that's really important. That's really, really important. All right, so let's move on to the first clip I want to show you guys, and it's from Tony Blair. So, and I'm going to lead a little bit into the transhumanism. So here he talks about, in this clip, he talks about digital ID and facial recognition. So he meshes the two together. So let me first play that clip here.
Clear. Digital ID will make our interactions with each other and with the state faster, cheaper, and more reliable. It will allow us to judge who has a right to be in our country and who doesn't, and so solves one of the major challenges of immigration. Facial recognition can now spot suspects in real time from live video, tracking organized criminals at borders, in public spaces, even helping find missing people. In London, live facial recognition led to 360 arrests by the Met Police between January and October 2024.
So before I go on, I'm also seeing somebody here from Pennsylvania, Barbara Vadas. Hi, Barbara, from Pennsylvania. That's kind of cool. So yeah, so he's talking about digital ID and facial recognition. Now, if Tony Blair talks about it, it is the agenda. So the fact that Blair talks about digital ID and facial recognition and all that stuff is actually proof that digital ID and facial recognition is part of the agenda of control. If Blair opens his mouth, it is the agenda of the elite speaking. This man gave his soul basically to the agenda, in my opinion. So here you clearly see it. It's a control grid. They wanna let the control grid creep up, right? Digital ID, facial recognition everywhere. It's like in China. I'm going to show you a clip of China at the end. How bad it's bad there. It's like there's no freedom anymore. Everywhere you go, you're being tracked. Everywhere you go, you're being scanned. everywhere you go, you have to have that digital ID on you. I mean, even it's already happening, right, with our phones. Try traveling without your phone. It's pretty hard these days. Losing your phone, it's kind of annoying. Your phone is already used for so much things, for digital transactions, financial transactions. Without our phones, we're basically illiterate. We can't do anything anymore. So, and that is part of the control grid, and they want to squeeze that control grid even tighter and tighter and tighter. And if Tony Blair's saying it, it is the agenda, 100% the agenda. And of course, they say we can catch criminals with facial recognition, but it's not meant. Okay, they can catch criminals with it, but it's not meant for the criminals. It's meant for you and me. That's who it's meant for. It's meant to control you and me. It's meant to control the populace, of course. Another person from Pennsylvania. Wow, that's cool. Two people from Pennsylvania and a person from Vancouver too. Cool. I've never been to Vancouver. I've been to Canada lots of times, but not to Vancouver yet. Anyway, so part of that control grid is actually transhumanism. And then Elon Musk comes into play. And Elon Musk, he is liked by a portion of the away community because he bought Twitter, and he plays Robin Hood on Twitter, and he says free speech, but it's just talk, because he's a transhumanist, and there's actually not that much free speech on Twitter. I talked about that. There is more free speech on Twitter than on some other platforms, but there's also a lot of censorship in a sneaky way. X only promotes those things that really fit kind of that new mainstream alternative narrative agenda. And Elon Musk is a transhumanist. I have no trust at all in Elon Musk. And the way transhumanism and with his Neuralink implanting chips is going to be sold is, first they're going to say it's good for health, for example, to help disabled people. And I am not against technology. If technology can help disabled people or sick people heal, if the technology is used in a humane way and in an ethical way, I have no problems with that. If a person needs to get an implant, a pacemaker, for example, because his heart doesn't work anymore, so he can survive when he has a heart attack, I am all for it. So I am not against implants per se, if they fix things, if they lengthen the lifespan of sick people, if they give sick people or disabled people more comfort, because we got to heal our sick, right? That is what we got to do. But I am not okay with implants in healthy people, because that is transhumanism. For example, putting a chip in our brain to have this encyclopedic knowledge, right? So that's what I'm not for. And the goal of Elon Musk is absolutely transhumanism. It is transhumanism. And let me play this recent clip of Elon Musk that came out this week, where it is very obvious. So I'm going to play that clip here. And there's also somebody from Oregon. Lots of people from the United States. That's cool. So let me play here that clip from Oregon. From Elon Musk.
Fixing serious medical issues, and prove out the safety and efficacy, and then eventually.
See, so he says, the chip, Neuralink and stuff, implants are going to be used to solving medical issues. I have no problem with it. But then, see what he says now. And then eventually he says, at some point, listen to what he says.
At some point, you could get cybernetic enhancements. So it could be something that massively augments intelligence and allows you to communicate at ultra high speeds. So this is part of the reason for Neuralink, which is to improve the bandwidth of communication with AI, so to help achieve a better human-AI symbiosis, so that AI knows what we want, and it can respond to collective human will. And I think things like Neuralink can actually effectively dramatically increase our intelligence.
What's your vision for a society where human effort is no longer required for survival or productivity?
Right, I think that's the central question.
He has to think a long time.
Well, if we are symbiotic with AI, where there's this essentially a merger of human and machine intelligence, then we may be able to address the relevance question. And the best thing I can come up with is that you have interwoven human and machine intelligence, and got something like Neuralink to augment human intelligence and improve the symbiosis with AI, that we effectively become maybe one with the AI.
See what he is saying here. You know, he talked exactly 5 seconds about using it for healing, right? And then he talked for 2 minutes basically about merging with AI, right? This is transhuman. This guy is full-on transhumanist. They want to get rid of humans. They want to get rid of humanity as it is, and they want to make us. And it's out in the open. He says it, and a lot of awake people thinking, oh, you know, Elon Musk and he's friends with Trump and he's going to save the day. This guy is trapping you. He's a trap. He's a Pied Piper for transhumanism, and he leads people down the slippery slope of transhumanism. You know, it's going to be sold for, yes, they're going to have miracle cures probably, with some miracle cures maybe with you know, implants. But it's all, you can see it here, it's all about transhumanism, you know. Don't say you weren't warned, right? Especially those people who think Elon Musk is like the new Robin Hood because, you know, he supports Trump and stuff. They're implementing transhumanism, and they're not hiding it. They're not hiding it. They're showing it in your faces. So if you ignore the warning signs of what this guy is saying, well, too bad for you, right? So and it's interesting that a few years ago he was actually warning for AI. So sometimes these people, they you know, they blow hot and cold. They say one thing here and then they say one thing there. They're like warning for it, but they're implementing it. So this is Elon Musk, and I'm going to bring it up here. This is Elon Musk here saying 3 years ago, there's a 10 to 20% chance that AI goes bad, even while he raises billions for his own startup AI. So, you know, here he says there's a 10 to 20% chance that AI goes bad, but then he wants to have a symbiosis with it. He has repeatedly stated that AI could mean the end of humanity. Then if you think there's a 10 to 20% chance that it could be the end of humanity, that's pretty high. Then why are you implementing it? It's obvious that these guys, they're just saying it. They're like, it's like they have to warn us, you know, maybe to clear their karma. Right, that's how they do it. Like, okay, you've been warned, you know, now it's your free choice. Come on the transhumanist train, you know. If you lose your soul, you've been warned, you didn't listen. And so we're clear of our karma. Maybe that's what they believe, right? But so these people always, you know, they do doublespeak. They warn for it, but then they implement it. Which brings me to Peter Thiel, which is actually kind of a buddy of Musk, because he launched PayPal with Musk. And I talked a lot about Peter Thiel in my previous shows, and you know, many the viewers of my show probably know that Peter Thiel is head of the Bilderberg Group, a sponsor of JD Vance. You know, he gave huge donations, he basically made JD Vance's career. So, you know, a deep state guy, you know, big influence on the Trump administration. And Peter Thiel actually did a lecture, and you might not believe this, but it's actually true. Peter Thiel, so, you know, the Bilderberg guy, the guy behind JD Vance, he did a lecture on the Antichrist in I think it was in Chicago, if I'm correct. So let me talk a little bit about Peter Thiel. And you're going to see the parallels with Elon Musk here. But first, before I go on, let me do some mid-show promotion for my new course, which has been out for 3 weeks. You know, quite a number of people have signed up already. So it's a course designed for awake people, for, you know, because we deal with a lot of negative information, a lot of heavy information, and it's really important to check in with your own vibration, to uplift your life, to work on yourself, Because, I talk about conspiracies a lot and I research them and I wrote a book about them. But every morning I do my meditations, my love and light meditations, because that's what keeps the balance. And so this is what I offer in this course. It's a 14-day course. It's got 11 hours of video, lots of meditations, lots of techniques, tried and tested by me, battle tested by me over the course of 20 years. So if you're interested, the links is in the description of this video. So anyway, let's continue. So Peter Thiel did a lecture about the Antichrist, and it was actually a secret lecture, so you weren't allowed to record. This is a picture of that. But the audio actually leaked, and some newspapers in the United States talked about it. So this is Peter Thiel talking about the Antichrists. This is Peter Thiel. So, oops, and I can't go down. Oh yes, I can. So here, inside billionaires Peter Thiel private lectures, warnings of the Antichrist and U.S. destruction. So take note here. So it's leaked audio, so it was leaked actually. And so let's see what he has to say here. And he says, he actually talks about a one world order in his lectures. And he says it's a bad idea, so he warns for it. But if you know just a little bit about the Bilderberg is that elite group that wants a new world order, a one world government. So he's like kind of warning against it. It's the same like with Elon Musk. He's warning for AI, but then he's helping implement. This guy is head of the steering committee of the Bilderberg group. If you are head of the steering committee of the Bilderberg group, well, that's quite up there, So he's warning that let me see here. That I can't find the quote now. So he's warning. I'm going to read it here to you guys. So it says, Peter Thiel says, there are a lot of rational reasons I can give why the one world state's a bad idea. Turn the planet into a prison. I think the tax rates would be very high. But I think if you strip it from the biblical context, you will never find it scary enough. You will never really resist. So what is he saying here? So he's kind of warning for it, but then he's saying, yeah, we will never resist. Yes, we will resist. We don't want this BS. So it's like he's like playing the libertarian. He's like saying, oh, I'm against the one world order, but people are not going to resist. So it's like Elon Musk on the AI front, but then for politics. Like Musk is warning for AI, but creating an AI, this guy is warning for a new world order and helping implement it through the Bilderberg group. It's ridiculous. So he also says, and this is quite interesting. Peter Thiel warns that critics of technology or artificial intelligence are legionnaires of the Antichrist. So what? So we people who are warning for AI, warning against AI and speaking out against AI used for control, we are legionnaires of the Antichrist? Seriously? Like this is inverting truth, right? I think it's just the opposite. I think people pushing AI are the legionnaires of the Antichrist. People talking about AI symbiosis and giving up your soul are legionnaires of the Antichrist. I mean, this shit's insane. And how crazy it is that, a person who has such a big influence on the Trump administration, back J.D. Vance, talks about the Antichrist. There is a religious component to all of this. Here, he argued that those who propose limits on technology, technological development not only hinder business, but also threaten to usher in the destruction of the United States and an era of global totalitarian rule. So he says that the opponents of technology are actually the ones. He's blaming us for what he's doing. I mean, that's ridiculous. Newman Mitchell says they are all liars. Yes, yes, they are. They absolutely are. It's insane. He says in his lecture, in the 17th and 18th century, the Antichrist would have been a Dr. Strangelove, a scientist who did all those evil, crazy science, Thiel said. In the 21st century, the Antichrist is a Luddite who wants to stop all science. It's some great our Eliezer. So people who want to stop science are antichrists now. I mean, it's just insane. And when Peter Thiel sometimes gets invited on these podcasts like Joe Rogan, and they never ask him about the Bilderberg Group, which says enough. Like they never ask him about Palantir, the CIA-backed company that basically is becoming part of the government of the United States, spying on all Americans and building databases on all Americans. That's what Peter Thiel is doing. So these guys, they have no shame. These transhumanists, they have no shame. It's absolutely insane. Regina says they know they are liars and just keep going. Yes, it's the way they work. It's the way they roll. It's the way they roll. The term fork tongue fits well. Yes, absolutely. So actually, what Peter Thiel is saying is totally wrong, because those technological energies, those hyper-technological energies, are actually antichrist energies. Not hyper-technological in the sense that it's used for good, but hyper-technological in the sense that it means to control, that it's cold, it's calculated, it's hyper-rational. Those technologies are antichrist technologies, because they go against the Christ consciousness. They want to limit freedom. And Rudolf Steiner, the visionary Austrian mystic, the anthroposophist, talked about that. He called it Ahriman, and it comes from the Persian language. And Ahriman is the consciousness of hyper-rationality, devoid of the heart consciousness, devoid of compassion. It's very, very smart, so it's very technological. So that transhumanism is actually the Antichrist technology. And they're blaming, the opponents of that for it. It's just like projection. It's like, in a fight and somebody blames you for what they are. That's what these people do. It's just insane. So this Ahrimanic force, you can call it Ahriman Antichrist force. That is the force that wants to drain the human society of soul and drain the human being of their soul, and merge with AI. So we lose our soul, so we lose our spiritual connection. The Antichrist energy is an energy that goes against the Christ consciousness, that goes against the soul, that goes against God. So these technologies, instigated by these transhumanists and some Satanists, these technologies are actually Antichrist in nature if they are used to disconnect the human from its soul. Right? So that's the real danger. It's calling, like we have a saying here, the pot calling the kettle black. I don't know if that saying exists in English, but it means just projecting, and so saying that other people do the things you're doing. It's gaslighting. Gaslighting could be something like that. Gaslighting is something like that. So yeah, so there is we got to face that there is this force in our reality, that there is some kind of, I don't like to use biblical terminology, because it kind of puts people off, and it puts me off a little bit too. So if I use terminology like Antichrist, I'm not saying it like from a biblical perspective. I'm saying it from a perspective of energy, of consciousness. And we got to realize that these quote-unquote Antichrist energies, that stream of consciousness exists. I don't know where it comes from, when it was created, but it exists, and it is anti-God. Maybe it exists as some kind of, polar opposite. But it counts on your, how would I say this? Your permission. It needs your permission. You cannot be controlled if you don't permit it. It sneaks all kind of sneaky ways, but it needs your permission. Through apathy, through lethargy, through not doing anything. So that's very important. And Key says, I have heard this is what happened to the alien gray species. Too much reliance on AI. Yes, they actually say that the alien gray species are mutated humans from the future that took the AI technological transhumanist route. And so the story is that they are actually from a different future or dimension, that they are mutated humans, so that they were originally humans, but they totally started cloning themselves, genetically altering themselves, and they started realizing that they were dying because they lost their spiritual component. And so they came back in time, 3 dimensions, back to the 1950s, maybe before our whole technological transhumanism thing started, to actually reintroduce that original human DNA back into their lineage and creating hybrids to ensure their survival. That is actually the story. Might be true. So because they, why else would these grays be here, right? It's because they're karmic. There's a connection. It's because there's a connection, right? Nothing is coincidental. Not even the aliens in the universe. Not even the aliens who visit us are coincidental, or the so-called aliens. They're not even like really aliens, actually. So very interesting stuff. So I'm gonna play one last clip here from China. And this is stuff like, if you see this is stuff like we never have to accept. So let me play that clip here.
Expected to keep their front.
So this is a guy, I'm just going to enter it a little bit. This is a guy, you have to clean your front yard. You have to keep it squeaky clean in China. Otherwise somebody comes and deducts points. Like, it's crazy. Look at this.
Is expected to keep their front yard neat and tidy. And she is rigorous in enforcing the rules.
So I hope you can see the subtitles, the English subtitles. So she says this doesn't meet the standards. So.
Feng Lan makes no exceptions. Even for the elderly.
蓝洗要清理一下，印子门上面要检查。
抹个清一下。
就是这样，我告诉你一下。
我这当然了嘛，走都不能走，你还这。
一把，来这个东西。
哦，这个。
啊，都是。就是这个地是能用东西打一下就打一下啊！
我不能弄，我们不能弄。
不能弄，等着孩子来家帮你整理。
啊，孩子来家弄那行，我不能弄。
啊，好。
Zhou Li Chong is 84 this year. Although he's retired now, 20 years ago, he was a prominent deputy secretary managing this village. He's been a party member for more than half his life. But now he vehemently opposes the party's current method.
So see, these, public, servants coming around saying you got to clean up your yard or we're going to reduce your social credit score. I mean, it's insane. We don't want to live that way, right? We don't want to live that way. And like this guy, he was a party member for all his life. He was a prominent party member. And then when you're pensioned, they don't give an F about you anymore. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's thanks but no thanks, right? So this is that culture of control. You like, okay, if a front yard is very dirty and it's like unsanitary, yes, I agree that people come in to say it needs to be cleaner if it's really starting to affect the neighborhood. I maybe get that, but to have because all the front yards look like that, look like that there. If there's like a little bit of rubble and then we're going to deduct your points, like there's this slippery slope, right? There's occasions where it's, where I think it's warranted for a community to say to a person, okay, your house is like run down, very dirty. In the interest of the community, you need to clean it up. But then it's a different thing than where it's like your front yard is inspected and you have social credit scores and you can lose your score if you don't obey. Then the line is crossed, and that is that slippery slope, and it can go way, way, way further than that. So yeah. So this is it. So I'm at the end of the show. If there's any more questions, I'll just take a quick look here. I'm not seeing any questions anymore. So yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, wherever you're watching from. Subscribe to my YouTube, my Twitter, my Facebook. whatever. And don't forget to check out my course, my 14 Days to a Higher Vibration course that is available at the link in the comments to help you, raise your vibration and stay happy in this crazy, crazy world. So Regina says, lovely show, Jens. Thank you, Regina. Thank you for your kind words. Murdoch, you're here too. Thank you, Murdoch. Always, always there. So yes, thank you, everybody. You guys, you have a lovely day too. My day is already at the ending part. It's 6 o'clock almost here. For you guys, for some of you, it's still early in the morning. So have a nice day. Regina says it was awesome watching you work the Astro backwards with Mech. Yeah, Mech's got a new show which I'm editing too, and there's going to be also new shows. I'm going to do a new show, not a new show. Meg and I have a weekly show. Tomorrow it won't be a standard weekly show of us two together. Meg is going to do an astrology show, and then I'm going to come on more towards the second half of the show. So that'll be our weekly joint show. But most of the time, Meg and I also will do a weekly show where it's Meg and myself. So yes, so thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Freedom Frequency. Bye-bye.